Here we have it, Grand Finals, game number 11, the most important game for Reet and Ritual right now, but also for Peterbot and Boyo if they want to be today's champions, if they want to lift that axe of champion to be granted with all that cash money. They cannot afford to drop the ball. We saw what happens when they, I don't know if they were trolling a little bit, you know, easing up a bit and pushing teams over confidently. This 1.5x multiplier, if nothing else, has proven that anything can happen if you fail to perform.
This is a really late glide in here from Cold. He's going to be forced to go way south. Fencing fields a little bit separated from Acorn, but doesn't seem to be impacting him too heavily. Just more so surprised at how long it took him to actually touch down, but hasn't seemed to thwart his early game so far. Ample amount of shield. And yeah, that 1.5 times multiplier could be the real difference maker. Macwood Blake, though, striking back, reclaiming the Grand Glacier for themselves. And you know what that means, MDF? Every single time they have won this off-spawn battle, we've been able to pay a visit to Blake and Macwood in the end game, and that's exactly their intention here in Game 11.
Yeah, they got a lot to live up to right now, being that they have played so exceptionally well when they've made it off the drop, especially when they finish the battle this fast. Look at that. Blake touches down, beats the drop, just wonderfully executed there. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, I did see Booga and Agers fall. We're seeing the update right now with Peterbot and Boyo. Everyone's wondering who's going to land on them in Game 12, who's going to land on them in Game 11. No one so far. No one has dared to challenge them, regardless of what it could mean for the NA conversation. There is a team, however, moving in dangerously fast right now on the outskirts. Who's this?
Well, not only that, but for the first time today, I believe, Peterbot and Pollo, this is actually one of the fastest times that we've seen them go to try and beat Cerberus, claim that aspect of agility. Have to think, maybe it's a slight switch up from how they've been playing today, because we've typically been seeing them extend just a little bit on playing the outskirts of Grim Gates, trying to pose a threat, trying to eliminate teams who are just kind of hovering their POI, and then they come back to claim that aspect of agility. But this time they're wasting no time, and it could potentially be because of the fact that that's a little bit of a jump scare, I'd imagine. When you fall outside of placement point range, you're not in that top 25, you're earning nada for an entire lobby. Meanwhile, you're watching Reet and Ritual just basking in all of the glory. Massive 150+ point games in their favor that have now caused them to be able to potentially threaten Peterbot and Pollo's position.
Yeah, I just keep going back to that yesterday's Game 1 where Peterbot had to clutch up and pull out that stretch for 20 points in the top 3. And to think that that could be the difference maker. Meanwhile, what was this trade of offense? Everyone there takes the L, and they'll have to sit this game out, wait for Game 11. And then Reet and Ritual, man, pressure is on. You know, just as hard as it is for others to perform and hold your first place spot, it is equally as difficult when you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You see that there's a chance that you could be that FNCS champion. You know, this is one accolade that Reet wants to continue to chase after, right? And especially Ritual, who Ritual has seen his fair successes of what it feels like to be a winner of sorts in a tournament setting. However, there's nothing like an FNCS championship.
Yeah, and that 18 FNCS finals victory royales that Reet's been able to claim, that's impressive, because now he's in second place for the most of any active North American player. The only one that he's behind is Epic Whale, Mr. 6 times himself. So definitely an impressive accolade for Reet to kind of just tag on to the resume. Certainly been building up quite a monumental statue for himself here for other players to try and tackle and overcome. I like this right now, though, from Skittles and Trashy. Kind of trying to just get a good head view of the entire lobby. They're hovering around this forecast tower as well. Check who's coming up in the distance, Peterbot Pollo. But again, Skittles and Trashy, they have definitely been a team that has been able to kind of hold Peterbot and Pollo at bay. They are no rollover duo by any means, and if Peterbot and Pollo try to go for an exchange with them, it could end up in disastrous results if they're not careful.
I'm really just trying to see, engage, where do we think Peterbot's and Pollo's mentality is at right now? Are they feeling nervous? Do they still feel confident like they have this locked in the bag? Because that right there, you know, that little voice that is speaking to them deep down inside is going to determine whether or not they can actually perform this game 11.
I saw Skittles and Trashy though, just a little bit further up. It's because they wanted to make that rotate one more time to Pars and Baka's location at the Ship It station, just threatening them. Bryce and Bolts though, really good looks for them south of Reckless Railways. They're going to be able to claim Forecast Tower that spawns just a little bit north from their drop at Dumpenhausen. And now, with the Forecast key card and the knowledge of all future zones coming into play, Bryce and Bolts, they've got some good ground to make up for, considering they got a taste of that top 3 in the leaderboard earlier today, MDF, but they've got to fight their way back into it now.
Yeah, this could surely be their game. And look at this. Acorn and Cold making it successfully past the early game here of the fencing fields. A triple contested drop. That's an accolade in its own. It's a huge hurdle to overcome here.
Ooh.
It's a Cold to find the tags, that's for sure.
Might be Muzz and Paper or Yasir and Krizix that he is shooting at across the way here. It's just wild to think, though, these teams, because of how heavily contested fencing fields is, they've all got to be fighting for like 3 or 4 chests each, right? Like, there is no way that there's that much resources to go around for everyone at this POI. It's definitely had a little bit of a negative impact against the likes of Muzz and Paper's overall performance, because they are a pretty strong duo for what it's worth, and to see them kind of struggling throughout the course of this weekend because of what they've been up against just goes to show that even some of NA's best can come to a halt depending on the situation that they're left with.
This is very interesting. I feel like Trashy and Skittles lost their one chance to drop Boya where he was out positioned with all those metal walls between him and Peterbot, and Peterbot doesn't like the odds here. Peterbot feeling like he needs to back off, and he leaves Boya by himself. This is just their confidence. The confidence is crazy. Well, I asked a question of whether or not they were feeling like the nerves were settling in, but no. They're showing me that Peterbot's like, nah, you got it, brother. I got this. Let me go look for someone else, find some tags while you keep these kids busy. That's all we need to know. All right, well.
Sometimes fear can be a good thing, though, because if you're just not scared of anything, that overconfidence is typically what's going to result in you getting eliminated pre-top 25 in a lobby, and can't bring it up enough. They really cannot afford to take an early spill in match 11, because if they do, the moment that their names, if even one of them gets read across in that elimination feed, it's got to put the jets on for Reet and Ritual. But things are a little bit sticky here for Reet and Ritual as is. All the way north of the map, Classy Courts, where they find themselves. And there's 2 other teams in their direct vicinity. Make that 3, Sigma trying to poke his head into the fray. As Dukes, Miro, they look like they want to depart from this engagement. They don't really like the amount of foot traffic that's found its way to their drop. But it's Reet and Ritual.
King.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I didn't expect them to want to push it this aggressively when they're in 2nd place right now, but it's showing us that they don't want to have to worry about Surge later in the game, and they're looking at likely the same thing we are. It's a team playing way too passively, so I'm assuming this is giving Reet all the confidence here to feel like, hey, this team might not be on our level. However, it is Dukes, it is Miro, so anything can happen. Dukes is going to be punished, though. Backs against the wall. It's still a 2v1 face check. Here comes Ritual to back him up. So far, so good, but they're missing the tags, and Miro is accurate as ever, putting up a good defensive hold here so far.
Miro just saved Dukes' life, hard body in that circumstance. Reet and Ritual were fooled on, trying to aggress. They just couldn't break past that final boss that Miro was able to present. But it could only be a momentary relief here as Reet, Ritual, they recognize this is still a little bit of a tough situation. Going for the floors, though, I like that from Reet. Just trying to keep Miro and Dukes on their toes, but now a Minish Cam, they've worked their way over. They heard the shots being fired. Reet gonna have to box fight one more time, but he needs backup. Ritual's got no shields. He's on his own for right now.
Very well played by Reet, keeping the pressure on here, doubling back to his teammate here, making sure not to leave Ritual behind and get too greedy chasing the elimination here while Ritual pauses to heal. You can see that they found a lot of damage. They may not have the eliminations, but they surely have gotten a lot of damage traded off to the opponents, and they didn't take a lot of damage in the process. So all they have to do now is replenish material, and they'll have a real good fighting chance against the Storm Surge later into the rounds here. There goes the material split to make sure they're absolutely set up, but gotta be careful to ambush from Duke and Miros here on the outskirts of this base right now. And everyone splits off. So for Reet and Ritual, they will live to see another day. While that was happening, by the way, Boyo found an elimination. I saw that start to add up. And then you see Bryson Bolts here as well, finding their positioning on the high ground. And what a fun stat. Every game this weekend has been won by a team with a former FNCS champion, just really flexing the fact that the OGs are out, man, and they're not going to drop a game. All right, everyone's going to have their chance at bat, if you will.
That veteran experience is definitely playing a very heavy factor into this weekend's performances for all of our Victory Royale teams, but Peterbot and his Surge base, look at Xavi and Neko as well. Quite a few Surge towers kind of littered around this Grim Gate location, extending all the way towards where the Rift Island has just spawned in. Peterbot catching a glimpse now. Waterbending Mythic headed his way, but the Flowberry Fizz that was being utilized. Peterbot maybe scouting out the fact this is a team that's potentially low, but they're going to be the first ones to make it onto Rift Island nonetheless. And Peterbot has not been able to connect a single shot with that thermal scope on the Huntress DMR. Look at Bacon and TK, though, taking the Rift here. They're also trying to seek out what Rift Island has to offer. It's Acorn and Cold going for the capture point. They've boxed out a decent amount of space here. It all depends on what TK and Bacon are really after. Is it Surge that they need? Is it materials? Regardless of the circumstance, they might just find themselves in a precarious position here dealing with the likes of Cold and Acorn.
Still, though, they do manage to secure it here. TK and Bacon sitting up around this base here. Peterbot and Boyo, obviously there in the distance. You have Krizix and Yasir, Tyler and Curve, Skittles and Trashy, who obviously Skittles and Trashy really have remained very much relevant as far as our top 10 standings concerned. And with how many points they have, they could be in contention for top 3 and a ride straight to the Global Championships in September. There's the update. 4th place.
Yeah. Just quietly playing their own game, though. They're the only team that has actually placed top 25 in every single lobby so far this Grand Finals weekend. That metric alone, pretty substantial, all things considered. It's just that one massive standout performance that they've kind of been seeking out.
Just can't count out Peterbot, though. Even if he falls, he gets right back up and right back into things. And they take down Frost here. And this is on the outskirts, someone who likely just picked up whatever was inside that bunker. So that's a little loot delivery for the boys here.
Yeah, 41 though for Peterbot with that singular elimination. Couldn't get it in the last lobby, but he has now officially set the record for NA in terms of individual eliminations. in a grand finals performance weekend. So congrats, Peterbot, but now the next mission, the next objective, secure first place, because Reet and Ritual, they're still looking to make it happen if they can.
Just got the eerie silence here settling in for Bach and Pars right now. As get the world of duos that separate them from the line of safety here. Things are going to get very difficult as far as rotating past the Rift Island is concerned. On the other side, Kanata and Cooper deep inside the Grim Gate here. Looking around, scouting for opportunity. No players nearby. Curiously checking out what loot is available here. And then Peterbot and Pollo exposed up above. This is the face-off we didn't know we needed. Kanata and Cooper against Peterbot and Pollo potentially to break out here, because we know Peterbot and Pollo they'll just dash across. You know what I'm saying? They'll just land on you, and then all of a sudden you gotta deal with that.
Muzz and Paper, though, under so much pressure right now from Kanata and Cooper. Likely have some teams. I like that split angle, the line of sight that Cooper has opened up for himself, extending a little bit further away from where Kanata was at. But Ritual, they're not done.
Ooh.
They finally found that knock onto Miro. We saw Miro and Dukes earlier on from Classy Courts. They were taking more of the dead side approach after having gotten pushed back by Reet and Ritual's initial aggression. So the fact that Reet and Ritual have actually sniffed them out, chased them down, and now gonna work their way back towards the zone.
No!
But no! Reet! He just gets shot from the moment he tried to make it into the safety of zone. Tragic situation now for Ritual.
I mean, the problem here is that Dukes is also pushing in, and then Ritual caught off guard there. Instead of just waiting a little bit longer or positioning up somewhere else, but he saw Larson coming down the hill with Oliver OG, and Reet had to call it out. Man, that's a tough one right there. Well, the hopes and aspirations we had for that second place comeback to arguably give Peterbot and Pollo a run for their money has now been X'd out.
But hey, Kanata and Cooper, the situation that we just saw them in, they looked like they were set up for an incredibly strong mid-game. And they're also, I think, within that distance, maybe overtaking second place. Cold, as accurate as ever, waterbending Mythic. No team gonna be allowed to stay positioned on the bridge. Cold just doing everything in his power to shut it down, and Yasir, of all people that could possibly get picked off, because this is the never-ending battle that Acorn and Cole dealt with all of day one grand finals, and now able to just administer the final blow to Yasir here in day two, match 11. You know that Cole's probably pretty happy with that one, shutting down Yasir.
Good position for Bryson Bolts to be in. A lot of opportunities to tag up duos here, especially as freshly built builds from a team coming out the zone right now. You can see they're trying to do just that. Bach and Pars jump in there. That's a sign of desperation if I've ever seen one. Down body right there. Can he find it? Nope. Someone else does. It's Kanata and Cooper down low, who also put some additional pressures in on the duos there. Take a look at things from his perspective here. Game 11 getting more and more interesting now as Reet and Ritual have been taken out. Take a look here. Kanata had that side angle. Slipping tags right through the builds.
That's a really nice tag team effort as well, though. You've got Cooper breaking the walls. Kanata with that DMR. He knew his sole mission while Cooper took out the walls for him was just to land those shots, and he does exactly that. Love to see that synergy come together for the Dignitas duo of Kanata and Cooper, but they still got a little bit more teams to work through if they want to find themselves really being able to threaten that second place position. Their biggest upgrade potentially being the fact that Reet and Ritual were eliminated outside of the top 25. So now it is entirely down to just how many placement points they can secure. Batman Booga with the waterbending method, just trying to connect any form of shots. He's falling well below that damage threshold. Things are only going to get worse for him. As a solo as is, he could be a nice little loot llama if a team's able to pick him off. Saw those 2 stacked Flowberry Fizzes that he had, as well as the Siphon Mats that he could provide. So Batman Booga's got to keep his wits about him. Or also find himself getting eliminated pretty quickly here. Bryce Bolts. DMR is active, but Bryce still hasn't found an opportunity to connect. TK and Bacon, though, these poor guys are just getting suffocated right now by pressure from the lobby. Bryce needs these shots, though, or else he's going to have to burn through all of his shield.
Like that, we're seeing the activity. They're trying, but only time will tell if they're going to be able to be successful here. Trashy and Skittles, the opposite side here. They have a long way to make this rotate here. 22 duos in the game, 40 players remaining. Big moving zones are out. Who's got the most dominant spot on the map? Doesn't seem like anything's quite solidified yet. Outside of Decay having that high ground, but he's pretty lit up, all things considering. Peterbot and Pollo get to the front side of zone right now. Placement points are being given out. This is where they get to run away with it, but shots coming in from all angles here. Just gonna slow them down a little bit from getting too situated. Often they'll use up one of their Flowberry Fizzes, heal off and cap off the team there.
It's also a tough zone pull in the first place. Saw Cease and Jack rotating more towards that west side of the current zone. So with that next zone pool, they're gonna have to now push their way through the congestion that's starting to build in the backside of zone. Batman Booga just barely managing to squeeze into that 6 above damage threshold, but with only 12 builds remaining, getting lit up the moment that he tries to press forward.
You saw the edit come out. Batman Booga was quick to disengage out of that position there, but yeah, Pump is just a little smarter. N-Pen finding the angles there. There's only also many places you could go. Respect the efforts.
Siphon Coin dropped, though. That's a big pickup for the team that was able to claim it. Could potentially make breaking through these low ground layers all the easier if you're able to depend on that Hades coin, get that Siphon working for yourself. But Golden Acorn from the low ground. Trashy Skittles, big pickups onto Sigma and Decay, who've also been a relatively impressive duo all weekend, but Trashy and Skittles, they're trying to find their monumental game. Like we already called out, they've maintained top 25 throughout the entirety of this weekend so far, but they're gonna need more than just top 25. They're gonna need top 5, if not a win, to really try and pose a threat to the top 3 in the leaderboard.
Trashy and Skittles coming out the edge of the storm here, looking up for high ground. This could give everyone else the opportunity they're looking for, and that everyone else I'm talking about is Peterbot and Pollo. They were right there, second height, waiting to pounce, and you can see it works out as Peterbot secures a loop, but someone lands on top of him, and down goes Peterbot. Pollo now left to fend for high ground by himself. There's a lot of solos here. No one's looking up to challenge Pollo just yet, and the longer this game goes on, the more they get to break away with the points threshold to close out this grand finals games here. But Bryson Bolt still on the run right now. This is a good medkit play here to try to squeeze out placement points here. They are neck and neck tied with Acorn and Cold essentially as far as points are concerned, and Pollo from high ground gives it up to jump down and go for what was likely Peterbot's loot here or someone else's, but he recognized there was heals and something to play for.
Well, we saw Pollo on the high ground. He only had like 6 or so builds left over. It's probably a big part of the reason why we saw Peterbot, who had split apart from the high ground, to drop for low, try and grab that refresh. Chubs and Avivv just punishing him for it immediately. But Pollo, we saw the clutch in day 1. Can he have a repeat in day 2? Big tags onto Edgy from behind. Never saw it coming. The Underworld dashes, just making Pollo so silent but easy to execute on these eliminations, on these knocks, potentially. Pollo, though, Maybe I spoke a little bit too soon here. He gets snuffed out of the lobby entirely, doesn't get a chance to bring this one back.
Look who's in the top 5. Make it Blake and Macwood, another top 5. You know, if they could just get off the drop, they have been one of the most impressive duos we've seen this weekend. Meanwhile, Oliver OG Larson, the Upsetters, the team that effectively took down Reet and Ritual, making the best out of this game with a 3rd place performance so far and still fighting for more now. Avivv and Chubs, though, have the high ground here, looking for 2 angles. They're the healthiest in the lobby right now. This should be their game to win, Taco.
They already put themselves in a great position. Avivv gonna drop momentarily off that last elimination. Onto Braids, finds another one immediately. The Mythic Gatekeeper just popping off here big time. And Avivv and Chubs, they find their victory royale, and it couldn't have come at a better time because we only have 1 game left now, MDF, for so many of these players that are looking to try and catapult themselves into that top 3 of the leaderboard. This is where it can really begin.
A ride to the global championship is really being fought for right now. If any of those teams inside of the top 10 right now, we're seeing all types of opportunities develop here, especially even for the likes of Avivv and Chubs, who had the high ground. Look at how they ran away with things here, picking up elimination after elimination. In the end, sweep up all of the ones that were available, which is really reflecting nicely on the leaderboards there for them. Look at the standings. Their points just jump up big time for them. And all of a sudden now they have a fighting chance for global championships. And more importantly, just money, right? Prizing is, of course, available here as well. And they've earned their fair share so far.
Yeah, and I think it all really kicked off with that initial elimination onto Peterbot. But there's plenty to break down in Game 11. So Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly, you guys know what to do.